Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back to Manly Focus channel. Today, we're diving into a phenomenon that's gaining traction among men in Western societies, the marriage strike. It's a topic that stirs strong emotions and brings forth complex issues. Many men are choosing to forego traditional marital unions, citing an imbalance in family laws, financial risks, and shifting societal expectations. It's an issue that goes beyond personal choices, impacting society, economics, and even our mental health. Let's get started. In the contemporary social landscape of Western societies, a discernible trend is gathering momentum. Men, more than ever before, are shunning the conventional route of marriage. They are increasingly choosing to forego legal, marital relationships, leading to a phenomenon aptly termed the marriage strike. What are the primary catalysts for this shift in societal norms? What compels them to think marriage is no longer worth the sacrifices and commitments it entails? Let's embark on a journey to unravel this complex issue. Many men express discontent about the current state of the intimacy market. A common sentiment among these individuals is that modern women seem to offer less than their predecessors. They argue that compared to their mothers or grandmothers, women today often lack conventionally feminine skills, such as culinary expertise. This perceived lack of traditional abilities, many men feel, makes women less attractive as potential spouses. In a world increasingly influenced by social media platforms like Instagram and Snapchat, attention-seeking behavior has become the norm rather than the exception. It's not uncommon to see women posting provocative photos to attract the attention of other men. The depiction of a harem of beta men revolving around women on these platforms often feeds into men's perception of imbalance in the intimacy market. For men navigating the dating and marital landscape, these seemingly ubiquitous scenarios only reinforce their growing reluctance towards marriage. It amplifies their concerns and fears about women's loyalty and the sanctity of marital bonds. The question then arises, can women do anything to mitigate this escalating crisis of faith in marriage? Many men believe that the legal repercussions of marriage, as they stand, are extremely unfavorable to them. The associated risks are perceived as so severe that they find it challenging even to consider the prospect of matrimony. This sense of apprehension is particularly prevalent in Western societies compared to other regions like Russia, Asia, or Eastern Europe. Family law, which has evolved and shifted over time, is increasingly viewed as a domain where men face high risk and receive little return for marriage. Consequently, men perceive marriage as an arrangement fraught with potential for great loss and minimal gain. Statistics indicate that a significant majority of divorce proceedings are initiated by women rather than men. This realization only adds fuel to men's fears about the unfavorable skew of family law. The apprehension extends beyond formal marriage. In many Western countries, cohabitation for extended periods is recognized as a common law marriage. Thus, even in non-marital relationships, men fear potential loss of assets and child custody battles if the relationship disintegrates. One of the most potent deterrents for men contemplating marriage is the observed trend of fathers losing custody of their children after divorce. The resulting emotional trauma, coupled with a significant chunk of their income directed towards alimony and child support, makes the prospect of marriage increasingly unpalatable. They dread the deterioration of their relationships with their children and the possibility of being reduced to a mere financial resource. Consequently, some women who initiate divorce proceedings, aiming to secure financial gain and custody rights, are often derogatorily referred to as divorce machines. This label only exacerbates men's fears and further dissuades them from considering marriage. Men are grappling with a profound dilemma: how to reconcile their biological imperative to procreate with the potential legal and financial ramifications of a failed marriage or relationship. By nature, men are biologically programmed to pass on their genes, while women tend to seek high-value men with resources to ensure the survival and well-being of their offspring. However, given the current status of family law, men find it increasingly untenable to live in a situation that the state recognizes as a marital arrangement. The specter of the state having a decisive say in the distribution of their assets, monthly income, and access to children becomes an insurmountable obstacle. The way family law is currently structured appears to incentivize and capitalize on women's hypergamous tendencies upon divorce. The term hypergamy refers to the practice of marrying or forming a relationship with a person of higher social status or wealth. Women are naturally inclined towards seeking stability and upgrades in their social status. This drive for marrying up often results in men bearing the brunt of the financial fallout after a divorce. Anecdotal evidence of women discussing the financial advantages of divorce over coffee, seemingly without a shred of guilt or remorse, only intensifies men's fears about the inherent bias of the system. Men are increasingly waking up to the realization that the marriage game, as it stands, is rigged against them. The perceived risk of losing life savings, assets, monthly income, and self-esteem looms large in their collective consciousness. The perception is that the legal system provides women with an unfair advantage at every turn, implicitly accusing men of being the harbingers of disharmony in the relationship. In this climate, men are questioning the wisdom of entering into an arrangement where they could potentially be made to finance their ex-spouses indefinitely. Consequently, calls for change are growing louder. However, whether any substantive reforms will occur within a reasonable timeframe remains uncertain. It is crucial to address the role of feminism in this discourse. Over time, some argue, feminism has metamorphosed into a form that seeks female supremacy rather than gender equality. Critics argue that this shift has resulted in the systematic dismantling of the nuclear family, with men increasingly avoiding marriage and traditional family life. This version of feminism is perceived to be encouraging women to adopt more traditionally masculine traits, while men are often pushed towards femininity. The consequences of this shift could potentially disrupt the conventional dynamics of male-female interaction fundamentally. In the face of these prevailing trends, many argue that the responsibility falls on women to salvage the institution of marriage. By projecting a greater understanding of men's concerns and adopting a more cooperative approach to gender roles and expectations, women may be able to restore men's faith in marital unions. This process would necessitate women reassuring men that they are not just seeking a provider but a partner in a genuinely equal relationship. However, there are also growing voices that advocate for women to resist changing themselves merely to make marriage more appealing to men. Instead, they propose that societal norms and laws governing marriage should evolve to address the grievances of men. The backlash against the perceived bias in the marriage system has led to the emergence of movements like Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW, and men's rights activists, MRAs. Men involved in these movements are seeking alternative lifestyles to challenge the conventional norms of marriage and the nuclear family. MGTOW, in particular, has gained notable traction. Men involved in this movement advocate for male self-ownership above all else. They reject long-term relationships with women, seeing them as detrimental to their well-being and financial security. The rise of these movements signifies the growing frustration among men, pushing them to find ways to address perceived systemic biases and reclaim their sense of self-worth. The decline in marriage rates due to the marriage strike can have serious economic implications. Reduced marriage rates may lead to lower birth rates, impacting the labor market and potentially slowing economic growth. Furthermore, single men tend to spend and invest differently compared to married men. The shift from a marriage-based society to a more single-oriented one could lead to changes in consumer spending patterns, with potential ripple effects across various sectors of the economy. It's important to remember that the marriage strike does not solely affect men. The changing relationship dynamics also take a toll on women who may face loneliness and the challenge of single parenthood. Men, too, are dealing with a host of psychological issues, ranging from isolation to fear of commitment, stemming from the perceived risk of marriage. The distress caused by navigating complex interpersonal relationships and the legal landscape can lead to mental health issues and societal withdrawal. In conclusion, the growing trend of men avoiding marriage is rooted in a combination of socio-cultural, economic, and legal factors. The perceived imbalance in family law, fears of financial devastation post-divorce, and evolving gender roles fueled by social media and modern feminism, are leading more and more men to question the viability of the institution of marriage. Addressing this issue effectively will require not just legal reforms but also societal introspection and changes in our perceptions about gender roles and expectations. We need to facilitate a paradigm shift where marriage is viewed not as a battlefield of gender inequality but as a union of understanding, cooperation, and mutual respect. The future of marriage rests on creating a balanced, fair, and equitable environment for both men and women. Only then can we hope to reverse the tide of the marriage strike and restore faith in this time-honored institution. And that wraps up our in-depth look at the marriage strike, a movement that's reshaping the landscape of relationships and society in the 21st century. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video informative, and share your thoughts about the marriage strike in the comments below. We're interested to hear your personal experiences and perspectives. And remember to stay focused, stay informed, and above all, stay manly.